Welcome back, everybody. It's Ben from Behāv again. And in this episode, I want to go over the 24-hour affect survey, how to do it and how to find it if you didn't initially do it in the very beginning. So I'm just going to go to the Behāv app, set the disclaimer, and then I'm going to go to the profile section here on the far right, the little person, and then I'm going to go to my survey question. So here's going to be the surveys, and I'll go through it with you, and then I'll be able to look at it through the analytics page as well with you. So first one asks, how many hours a day do you sleep/rest? For me, I don't think I slept that much since I'm recording these videos, so I'll say 4 hours. For me personally, I get sad and I'm kind of anxious when I go to sleep, so I'll select these two. How many hours a day do you spend working? I spend a lot. Maybe, I don't know, 10 hours. But I do look forward to it. I care about it. It's fun. So I will select those. How many hours a day do you spend thinking about or interacting with intimate relationships, dating, in-person, digital, sex parenting? I don't know. Maybe let's say 3. How I feel about them. They are fun. Still kind of excited about it. How many hours a day do you spend involved with or thinking about family? I'm with my dad a lot. I'm trying to think. I already used 4 hours. That's the thing, you have to keep track of all the hours that you're using. So I use 4 hours, I use 10 hours for work, so that's 14. I just use 3 for relationships, so that's 17. So I'll just say another 3 hours. But I do care about my dad, I look forward to hanging out with him. And he is really fun. So now we're at 20 hours total, and we're at 5 out of the 10 questions, so might run out. How many hours a day do you spend interacting or thinking about your friends? I don't really think about that. So that will be 0. So I still have 4 hours left. How many hours a day do you spend reflecting on yourself? I do reflect on myself a lot. So I might spend like, I don't know, about 3 hours. Maybe like 1 hour total. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I get sad when I'm reflecting. So I'll put that in there. How many hours a day do you spend budgeting or thinking about economy/finances? That's definitely hard for me, but I probably do that at least an hour. It does make me anxious. I am worried about it. So, and I guess sad. How many hours a day do you spend involved with or thinking about politics? I don't really, maybe like 30 minutes. I don't really have a category for that, so I just don't include it. How many hours a day do you spend involved or thinking about cultural beliefs, where you live? So at least an hour. I do care about it. I think those topics are interesting. Then how many hours a day do you spend involved or with thinking about social systems? So judicial, criminal, healthcare, education, immigration. I forget calculating. So if you forget calculating and you've overestimated, let's say you put 2 hours, it will have down here you reached a max limit. So maybe you can only put in 1 hour? No. 0.5 hours? I guess you can put in 0.5, so that's what would be left. And I do care about it, and I like learning about it. So as you could tell when you're doing the survey, these questions started assessing more intrinsic things, and then branched out to, it went from self to family to friends to social systems, and it expanded, right? So your locus of control and your interaction with the world, the questions are expanding, right, in a larger concentric way. So that was the whole theme of being able to analyze that. Because you spend most of the time with yourself, you don't typically always spend time with things outside of your range of control. So now that we've done that, we've completed it, it's 10 out of 10, the bar is filled. Now I just tap here to go to the next, and then it'll take you to the disclaimer again, and then you're done. So the data has been saved, and you're able to access that data in the analytics page down here. So we'll go here, actually, we'll do some other things here. So let's also, let's do that. Let's go to the analytics page so you can see that nothing's been updated. So far today I haven't tracked any behaviors or affects, so you're not going to see any data there. You're also not going to see any data in the pie chart because I have not updated any behaviors or affects. So here's going to be your 24-hour affect, or 24-hour work summary. So you spend for me I spend 41.7% working, 12.5% with relationships, family's 12.5%, myself is 4.2%, finances is 4.2%, politics is 2.1%, beliefs 4.2%, social 2.1%, and then sleep is 16.7%. So in an average day, just summarizing for self-report, this is what my life looks like, okay? So then when I go to the next slide, I'll be able to see the affects overall with those specific life choices in those categories. So I have a seeking affect of 15.8%, care affect of 21.1%, play affect of 21.1%, and then my negative affects are really going to be based off, a lot of my affects are based on fear, very, very interesting, and then grief. So fear is 26.3%, and then grief is 15.8%. And that's how I'm making up my life. Interesting. So what I also want to do is do a 2D affect distribution overall, right? So total is negative is 42.1%, and then positive 57.9%. So I'm above the 50% threshold. Obviously I have a lot of things I need to work on, and specifically within those categories of working on, fear and grief, right? Those are my big affects that I struggle with, and I think that's really accurate. I didn't know that it was quantitatively that big, so I am, I won't say embarrassed, but I would say, at least I'm made more aware. And every time I use this, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's okay. I need things to work on. So this is a great way to be able to understand, like, let's say you say that you're depressed. What's great is you can understand, well then, how much time are you spending on certain activities, right? And like overall, like, is depression for you, like what percent of negative affect are you classifying your depression at? And then 3, what areas of affect do you feel like your depression is coming from, right? So it's a great analytic tool that's really cool qualitatively as well, to be able to look at it and see that. So now let's go back and see if we can get some data here and here. So to do that, we got to go back to the home screen. So for positive affects, I'm checking in. You could say that I'm checking in with myself because I did do the survey. So I did do that. You could say that I was being supportive in that I'm supporting like positive behaviors. So you could say that I did that. Negative affects, I don't think I've done these, but let's just say that these occurred, one after the other, and then I'll also just say that I did rollerblade. Okay, so now when we go back to the analytics page here, we'll be able to look. So for negative affects, your most tracked is going to be low self-esteem, or for me, it's the low self-esteem. Least tracked would be cyberbullying. Most positive tracked will be checking in with myself. Your least positive track will be skateboarding and rollerblading. Your most negative track would be low self-esteem, cyberbullying. So these are going to be the same up here. And then it also has this week. So this has been a test. And I'm starting it on Thursday because I'm kind of resetting these every day for the demos. But you'll be able to see what the weeks are for these same statistics up here. Now let's go to the pie chart. So for today, I'm kind of split 50-50. So I felt anger, like rage, and then panic and grief. But I've also had fun, and I've also cared about myself. So this is what the affect chart will look like. And then we'll go into being able to read the map later. So when we're looking at this on a time scale, I deleted these, so that's why you weren't able to see them. But it did track them, that they did exist. So even if you, when you track them, you can delete them, but they still exist on the app. But so I would encourage everyone to like not delete anything. You might feel embarrassed about it, so it won't be visible. But it will, track it so that you're not distorting your image of yourself, and you're able to be honest and open about your reflections, even if you're taking away the behaviors digitally that are visible. So previously I was doing a test and I did like a positive 8 things and then negative 5 things. But for this one we just did, I did positive affect choices of 4, then negative affect choices of 3, and I did it around 3 a.m., which is when we're recording it, and then I'll be able to track that over time. I'm able to look at specific ones. So since I did, what was my category again? If you're curious what your category was, so you can look at, let's say panic and grief. So if I want to look at panic and grief, I go here, and the negative affects are going to go down for the topography analogy. So at around this time, it goes down to 2. If I want to check a positive affect, it'll have play. So we're able to look at the chart here, and we saw that it increased. Overall for the week, we can look at that. And we can say that Wednesday we had positive 3 things, negative 7 things. And so far today, we're doing pretty well. We have 1 more positive affect than yesterday, and it's very early in the morning, so I can't guarantee that you won't necessarily repeat this negative 7, but right now we're at negative 3. So we can at least see where the bulk of our negative affects are coming from, and then be able to see, what context do the days of the week and the activities that you're experiencing, as well as the environmental factors on the map, are affecting the trends of your affects. So that's what we're able to see there. You're also able to see weekly, you're able to look at them specifically as well, the same. So if I wanted to look at panic and grief again, you're able to see, Wednesday was a hard day, we had 3. Tuesday we're doing a little bit better, we have 2, but it might get to 3 later on, depending on what the activities are during the week, looking at that specific affect. And then we're back to the 24-hour summary. So those are the summaries. This should stay here until you take the survey again. So always be mindful and reflective that this is like a great analysis for you to just reflect on and look back on. And then if you feel like you've improved something, or you want to focus on one of these areas of improving, you can always take these and then see what categories are associated, what affects are associated with these work lifestyle categories, And then you can ask that in the GPT, be able to analyze ways that you can improve your life that way. So for me, I take this for me like once a week, just to be able to have a standard of what I can reference, because I use this as a reference when I'm looking at my behaviors. But I am glad that this is less than 50. I remember when this was like 60-40 ratio. So that is good. I'm improving. And that's what it's really about. It's really about the dynamic improvement. It's not about always being like this hyper positive or this hyper sense of self-improvement in isolation. I think that's the problem. And what this app does, it really helps you qualitatively get out of that zone of, you know, being really isolated and realizing that there's other factors of things in your environment that are impacting your behaviors and your affect intentions. So that's the video for understanding what the analytics page is, as well as for the 24-hour summary. I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you watching.